What's cracking, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. New video. So, yesterday, I did a video on Chunky. I've told many stories about Chunky. And there were a few things in there. I had people tripping on all kinds of stuff. People were saying that I was wrong for not handing that man his shorts. It was a joke. We were laughing. You pick them up. But people out here are very judgmental. You know, they like to pick at other people's stuff and forget the shit they do. Now, we talked about that he had wrote a book, right? I don't know that he wrote it. I found the book and I see it's written by someone who's incarcerated, somebody that probably Chunky told his version of stuff about. But before we get into that, I want to say this. Somebody said in the comments, "Oh, I thought you said a bulldog told, and now you're saying a bulldog didn't tell. What did I miss?" And I didn't feel it was relevant to get into the details because I had already told that story. But people will see that comment and be like, "Oh, he was lying, this and that." So that's and there's a couple people that are subscribers of my channel that were there then. One of them made a comment. He remembered the whole incident, but since people need to know all the details, instead of going and watching the old video, the original video, and you got to remember some of this stuff, I have to think for a second. So let me just tell you guys, as I said in yesterday's video, for some reason that day, Chunky was in all blues. Chunky never dressed like that. It caught my attention. Well, guess who else's attention it caught? The cops. The cops are assigned, certain yard cops are assigned to certain groups. And Chunky was a yard crew, or I don't know what's recycling. He was recycling crew. I remember one of his hustles. He used to, when we still had fruit, he would take the recycling cart, big rusty cart, and we'd go to every one of the dining halls, and we'd have the homies get him boxes, as much fruit as possible, put them in the box, and he'd load them on the recycling, and he'd dump them off in the other buildings for the guys to cook it up and make wine. And he'd get a cut out of that. I'm telling you, the dude was a hustler. But being that he's on the recycling crew, which means he's on the yard all day, every day, when you all of a sudden dress in a different manner, everybody notices. So when he hit the dude that was on my left, and he didn't stop, which honestly, a lot of people felt that was chicken shit. It was a hit and run. Hit him one time and bounced. It's not standard, right? He kept walking, and the guy he hit after he told me, "Hey, this is some bullshit, this and that." He told me other things, but he got up and he started walking down to the bottom of the yard. At first, we were thinking he's going to go cut him off. I believe I told this in the original story. Chunky saw that this dude was heading down to the bottom of the yard and their paths were going to cross. Chunky walked through the blacks area, a no-no, and went across the middle of the yard. A no-no. Back then, nobody could walk across that grass on Beef Facility. The cops didn't allow it. And so he was getting more and more attention put on himself, and everybody was like, "Oh hell!" Like when the vato that he was leaking bad. When he was going towards the bottom of the yard, everybody's like, "Orale, he's gonna catch him. He's gonna go get his run back." When Chunky cut across the middle of the yard, everybody was like, "Oh hell no! The fuck kind of shit is that?" And people were like, "That's a coward move." And that vato like looked at him like, serio? Like you're like basically like you're gonna run from me? And then where that dude wound up getting in hot water later, he went and sought medical attention. And I know a lot of people were like, well, what was he supposed to do? In prison? That guy was involved in the politics. He was supposed to either go and get Chunky on the spot or go into his cell and patch himself up as best he can and then come back out and then get Chunky. That's the rules. He went and got medical attention. When he went to the sergeant and told the sergeant that he needed some medical attention, they put the yard down. When they put the yard down, the cops were like, snatch him up. Snatch up Ibarra. I say his last name. It's in the book, right? I just saw it, and we're going to get to the book in a second. They took him for investigation. He didn't initially get snitched on. They snatched him up and put him in the back for investigation. The dude he hit went to 5 block, I'd say. Chunky went to 6 block. Chunky got into that cell I was talking about. The dude that went to 5 block never made a statement. Said he didn't know what happened. He didn't cooperating for shit. They wound up cutting him loose back out to B facility. The guy was tipped up. He was not made, nothing like, it wasn't no legend. He was a camarada. But now that he got hit, he's going to have to answer to that. In the meantime, he told who he was under, his version, what happened. It turned out that the guy that had the yard knew the night before what was going to happen. So the dude that got hit approached him and said, hey, Holmes, I need you to hit that bulldog. He's telling the dude running the yard, hey, I need you to hit that bulldog, Holmes. That bulldog, he told them that I was hooking them up when I told him to tell them to hook up the outfit with the bleach. So if he wouldn't have fucked the message up, none of this would have happened. The llavero at the time was like, hey, I don't got to do nothing. Like, that's your pedo. And the other guy said, órale, okay. Well, let me go talk to my homeboy real quick. And I'll be right back. The llavero said, okay. The guy that got hit didn't go talk to his homeboy. He went straight over to the bulldog and started whacking him. And he's going to build his case against the llavero. And that's a whole different thing, right? And when he went to the back again, he never cooperated. But the bulldog, and see, that's the thing. Shout out to the bulldog, because this isn't any way to try to make them look bad. They can't. That's an individual, right? He made a statement on why he got hit. And he told the cops everything. That he had got an outfit. He told everything. But Chunky's not getting a new case. Chunky short to the house. Chunky went home. Now, another thing. Somebody said, and it was one of my subscribers that's usually in on the comments, real big supporter of the channel. He said that he felt it was kind of lame that because Chunky was short to the pad, why did he have to be the one to whack the dude Jimmy? Well, obviously you've never been on one of these yards. Chunky knew how short he was to the house. Like I said, he was a hustler. Chunky went to someone and said, hey, let me sell some dope for you. Now, the guy he was selling dope for, nobody on the yard liked him. Nobody. He was arrogant. He was self-centered. He was greedy. But he was connected, right? So him being short to the house his damn self, the best thing for him selling dope on the yard is to have other people sell it for him. Because then they have to, anything that goes wrong, they have to take care of it. That's the rules. So when Chunky went to him and said, hey, let me move some dope for you, he took on an obligation. Any debts that don't get paid, you cover one way or the other. Either you pay them or you let their blood out. Chunky wasn't going to pay nothing. So he was supposed to whack Jimmy. And he didn't. And that's why I said from the day he told me he wasn't going to whack Jimmy, I stepped back from him. I couldn't function like that with him. It was bad. That's bad. Like, I knew it was going to be a problem for him, but it wasn't going to be my problem, right? Now, a lot of you guys sent me the book. And I looked at the book. I saw what was written on the back. Okay? Extremely disrespectful what was written on the back of that book. But one of the things, well, there's a couple things. But one of the things that really stood out to me is that he's making himself the hero and the victim at the same time. His victimhood made him somebody that was willing to stand. Man, he didn't. That's not true. Again, this is somebody that I was cool with at the time. I know what he did. He was never betrayed by anybody. He has a history of betrayal. When he did that to the dude, he whacked that guy and he went to the back. Once again, he made promises. But he made promises to somebody you never break promises to. And he went out on the streets and he broke every promise. And not only did he break the promises, but his selfishness and greed, he did a lot of people wrong. He did people wrong. He wasn't done wrong. He was a person that would put himself in positions where he knew what was expected of him. These were things that he sought out. Nobody sought him out. You guys need to understand that. Shades of clarity, just so you understand. This man would go and seek out problems. He would seek out obligations, knowing what comes with them. And then he would renege. He would never, ever hold up his end of the bargain. He wanted and wanted and wanted and wanted and wanted. So when I saw the book and it said that he was betrayed and that he turned in... And again, this is not somebody that I ever had a negative thing with. This is somebody I was cool with. But look, when he wound up turning and going, he got involved with a certain group on the other side. From my understanding, he even fucked them over. This is the history of that individual. I'm surprised that a follow-up book wasn't written. The truth about this guy. You know, I always want to give you guys the reality. And I have to be as comfortable as I can be when I talk about this stuff. I want people to see the treachery. But you got to understand this. At the end of the day, you know, somebody said in the comments, it's a dog-eat-dog world. It definitely is. It is supremely cutthroat. But you have a choice. And if you choose to play the reindeer games, you're going to get the rewards. And you're going to get the shit in the stick sometimes too. You win some and you lose some. But you chose to play that game. No one should ever put any kind of hero status on that guy. Whatsoever. If anybody reads that book and believes he really stood up to something, he didn't. He ran from everything. It's unfortunate. He didn't have to do any of it. The guy was going home, could have went home and raised the family, been a good dude, but he chose otherwise. That's my video for today, man. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Everybody, please be safe, be smart, and tell the ones you love that you love them, man. I'm out of here.